I had actually left work in 2008 and became a full-time volunteer with Brethren Disaster Ministries. And that's the branch that basically goes around doing rebuilding after disaster. When I first started doing that work, it was rebuilding houses. Had been doing that for about 6 months in several locations, including El Salvador, went to Haiti, spent about 8 days each of those places, several months in Indiana after some localized flooding, and then got invited to New Orleans for what I thought would be a week. Came down for a week, was invited back, so I went back to Indiana, did some other volunteer work for about a month, came back down for a month, then I went back to Indiana for another month, did some more volunteer work. This time I was invited back down and spent about 4 months. The next time I went home, I rented out my house because it had been a year and I had not lived there. In the process of rebuilding houses, I spent a lot of time over here in the lower 9th Ward, talking to people, sitting on their porches, finding out what the true needs were of the community, and found out that there were much greater needs than just a brick and mortar house. Started Capstone and left it very much open to what our mission became. Soon realized that other people were eating from that garden, and so I made it bigger. And I soon realized that there was a greater need for food than any other thoughts that I initially had. This is what we call the farm, and it's our largest contiguous property, and we've got right at a half an acre here. And as you can see from like this paved approach and down there, there used to be houses here before Katrina. This is where we grow a lot of the food that we share with the community. It's also the site where we do the Sharing Lots program that I talked about earlier. And in the far corner is where the LSU Educational Center is. First 2 years in the garden, I saw a total of maybe 4 to 6 bees. Mm-hmm. And what a lot of people don't realize is with the level of flooding we had here, up to 14 foot deep for 3 weeks, that would have also killed off the natural habitat for bees. And so, recognizing that I needed more pollination in the garden, I started looking around and researching bees, started asking people who remove bees if they would put them in the garden. I didn't really want to be a beekeeper, I just wanted bees in the garden. And about 4 months later, I ended up being given a hive of bees. And in 2012, during Hurricane Isaac, I evacuated with my hive of bees in the back of the Explorer. And it was after I got back that, having seen the difference between not having bees and having bees, that I knew I couldn't lose them. Over in the back corner of this orchard, we've got a rain garden. A lot of people are starting to look at rain for getting rid of retained water, or rain gardens as a way to get rid of retained water, and a lot of people think those have to be something fancy and expensive. Our total investment for this one is $5 when I bought my first papyrus plant 3 years before I even knew I was going to buy a rain garden. Now it and the cattails have taken over most of the rain garden, and all we did was take the natural low-lying area of the lot, and rather than fill it up and try and make trees grow there where they'd still have wet roots, or just let the water accumulate, which down here creates a lot of mosquito problems, we planted just the papyrus and the cattails, and now instead of having several inches of water for a week or longer after a good rain, we've got, within a day or two, there's no standing water anymore.